ready for the fight. From the court to the field, they shine so bold. With every move, the stories unfold. We're cheering on the youth from the start to the win. Giving them the mic, let their voices begin. Interviews and highlights, we got it all. GN Sports Show, where the young stand tall. GN Sports, where the youth lead the way. Champions of tomorrow, making waves today. From ages 5 and up, we help them grow. It's their time to shine on the GN Sports Show. GN Sports Show. GN Sports Show.
Good evening and welcome to the GN Sports Show with me, George Dublin. This is season 4, episode 2, and alongside me is my ever reliant co-host, Desmond Zico Black.
Hey, good evening, George, and good evening to the viewers. It's really good to be back. I haven't been. It's my first time on the new and improved GN Sports Show set.
That's what we do for when you're coming, Zico. That we do for you.
And it feels really good to be back after a really long hiatus. But so just to give you guys an idea of what's happening tonight we're going to spotlight 2 of our U7 players, Dominic Parker and Yanazai Skeppel. George and I are going to talk about the ongoing ABFA Women's Premier League, which is sponsored by the Calvinia Foundation. We're going to also have Zoom interview with former English international Ian Storey-Moore. And of course, we're going to wrap our show up with Dr. Mills. And tonight we're going to have a very interesting topic. We're going to be speaking about strength training and how that affects our children in terms of their physical and their intellectual development. And Dr. Rick's segment is going to be focused on building strong kids. So yes, George, really packed show, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, most definitely. And also we will have Jordan Enriquez will be here during the interview with the U7 players from the Generation X Zico.
So what we'll do, we'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll jump right into our spotlight segment with Dominic Parker and Yanazai Skeppel. Stay tuned.
Our vision is to become the premier platform for showcasing and empowering young student athletes, providing them with the tools and exposure to excel both in sports and life, while shaping the next generation of confident, media-savvy leaders. The GN Sports Show is dedicated to highlighting the talent and stories of young student athletes across all sports disciplines. We aim to equip them with vital media exposure and public speaking skills, helping them grow into confident individuals both on and off the field. Through engaging interviews, mentorship, and real-world media experiences, we strive to foster personal and professional development that supports their athletic journeys.
Welcome back to the GN Sports Show with me, George Dublin, and this is season 4, and co-hosting with me is young Jordan Enriquez. Good night to everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Alright. So during this segment we're going to be interviewing these young footballers, 2 young talented footballers, I must say, who are looking really sharp in the Generation Next. So Jordan, you have some questions to them?
Yes, I do. So first off, Yanazai, how old are you?
5.
You're 5 years old?
Yeah.
For the gene making?
5 years old.
5 years old, okay. And what about you, Dominic?
I'm 6 years old.
You're 6 years old, okay. What school do you go to, Yanazai?
Primary school, Memorial School.
Yeah.
What school you go to? T.O. Memorial.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And what about you, Dominic?
I am in big school.
Big school? What's your school's name?
My name is St. John's Catholic Primary School.
Okay. And what grade are you in?
I'm in grade 1.
Grade 1. And Yanazai, what grade are you in?
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten? Okay. How long have you been playing football? Did you just start?
Yeah.
You just started?
Yeah.
And what about you, Dominic?
I started to play football as well.
Just recently? Okay. And what position do you play in football?
I scored a goal
You scored a goal. Like, what position do you play?
Striker. I do strike.
You play strike? How many goals do you shoot as a striker? Because you know, as a striker, you have to shoot multiple goals, you know. Like, you shoot hat tricks? Okay, badness. What about you, Yanazai?
Keeper.
Keeper?
Keeper, Yanazai. Kind of small for a keeper, I don't think. You're brave?
He's trying to be
You sure you're brave?
goalkeeper.
You trying to be?
A goalkeeper.
That's good.
I trying to stop the ball.
You're going to stop the ball. All right.
Go on the goal.
I like that for you, Yanazai, because not much people want to be goalkeepers. So I like that for you.
Wait, so Yanazai, you have a favorite goalkeeper?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite goalkeeper?
Marvin.
Marvin?
Yeah.
You know him?
Yeah.
Okay, and what about you? Who's your favorite player, Dominic?
My player is a girl, but I don't know what's her name.
You don't know her name? Do you know what position she plays?
Yes.
What position does she play?
She hit the ball on the chest. If somebody hit the ball on her chest, she will back it up and then she score the goal.
Oh, okay. She sounds like a real good player.
Does she go to she goes to Generation Next?
She go Generation Next?
Is she sitting next to you?
Oh.
You sure? All right. I just checking.
Oh, I think you're talking about Gabby. Yeah, from Under 11.
Oh, okay.
Gabby.
Okay. All right.
And okay. So who's your favorite coach? Now, let's not try to get biased. So if the coaches are watching this, do not get jealous. But who's your favorite coach?
Yeah,
You don't know? You don't have a favorite coach?
Who is your
Okay.
coach? What's your coach name in Generation Next?
Um.
Coach Duran?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Is he a good coach?
Yes.
And y'all enjoy your sessions with him?
Yeah. Yes.
So how much goals you saved since we started back training in Generation Next? You saved any goals yesterday? Were you training yesterday?
Yeah.
And you saved any goals?
Yeah.
I was looking down there, I didn't see that. You sure?
Yes.
You save any off of him? So you let him save it?
Yes.
Oh, come, you gotta try to score. You can't let him save it.
So who's your favorite teacher?
Miss James.
Miss James? Do you want to make a shout out to Miss James?
Tell Miss James hello.
Yes.
So say
in that
hello,
one.
Miss James.
Look in that one and say hello.
And who's your favorite teacher, Yanazai?
Miss Douglas.
Miss Douglas?
Yeah.
And you say you go to TOR Memorial.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite subject?
P.
P? Oh, my boy.
course.
My boy. P. My boy.
And what about you, Dominic?
My favorite subject is grammar.
Grammar? English? Okay. So you don't like PE?
Yes, I do as well.
So you like both of them? Okay.
So when y'all go to P, what house you in school? Y'all have houses like red house. What house you in?
I'm in red house.
And what house you in?
I'm in red house as well.
Red? How did you all go to different schools in the same house?
Because the lady gave us red and red.
Did you get red and red?
Yes.
So what day y'all do P in school?
We
What day? Monday, Tuesday? What day is
Monday.
you
We
do
go
P?
Monday, Tuesday, and Monday is Monday.
You go on Monday and you go on.
Yes. Tuesday.
So when y'all go to P, what sport y'all prefer to play? Do y'all prefer to play basketball, do running,
No.
play football, what?
Yeah, running. I do
You
running.
prefer to play football?
I do running and I do window.
So you can run, you're quick?
Yeah.
Well, your mommy look like an athlete, you know, so maybe you get that DNA from your mom, yeah?
Like
a Lamborghini.
I go in, out.
So Jordan, have a question for Dam?
And the last question for y'all. Since you just recently started playing football, have you liked it so far? Do you love football?
Yes, all the time.
All the time. That is it.
Me too.
And what about you? You love it? Yeah. Okay, good.
Well, from me, I'd like to say thank both of you for coming on the show. We really enjoy having you all, and I'm sure I'm going to be probably somewhere watching you saving on my TV, and hopefully Dominic scoring a few goals. You're not going to play on the TV?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yes.
So I can keep my fingers crossed for you.
Yes.
So thank you all for coming, and enjoy the rest of your football season and your evening, right? And from that, we'll take a break and be right back.
Sports Show.
And welcome back to the GN Sports Show with George Sauer Dublin. And this evening, I will be interviewing Storey-Moore. How are you, Ian?
Very well, thank you. Well, apart from having a bit of a typically English cold at the moment, I'm okay, thank you.
Well, you should be accustomed to the cold by now, shouldn't you?
should be, but you know, so we're getting into our winter now, so it's very prevalent here at the moment. Lots of colds about, flu, etc., etc. So it's something we have to live with in the UK, I'm afraid.
All right. Well, Ian, thanks for being on the show. We really do appreciate it. But just for our viewers, you know, can you just give them a brief history about, you know, your club career and your international career?
Yeah, well, I started playing professional football at Nottingham Forest when I was 17. Unfortunately, they gave me a professional contract, which wasn't a lot of money in those days, by the way. I think I started on about £17 a week, and that was about it in those days. But you know, quite a number of happy years at Forest. We had one very good season, particularly in 1967-68, when we finished second in the league, and we got to the semi-final of the FA Cup that season, where I think Man United won the league that season, where they had those three great players, you know, the icons of British football, Best, Laurent, Charlton, who were magnificent players, and I eventually ended up playing with them when I moved to Manchester United. But in those days, I used to play against them, and they picked us to the league that year. And we were beaten by Tottenham Hotspur in the semi-final of the Cup. So, yeah, they were happy days then, and I really enjoyed my time at Nottingham Forest. And unfortunately, we didn't win anything. But, yeah, and then in 1972, I moved on to Manchester United, whereas I just alluded to earlier, where I had the pleasure and privilege of playing with those three great icons of British football, Best, Laurent, Charlton.
Okay. So there's an infamous story about your move to Manchester United. Brian Clough announced that he was going to be county, and you ended up at Manchester. Can you just give us a quick take on how that one turned out?
Well, it was rather embarrassing to say the least, George, because a lot of people thought I'd engineered that move, but it wasn't the truth at all. At that particular time at Nottingham Forest, and Brian Clough in particular was the manager of Derby County, they didn't particularly get on very well, and it just transpired, George, that I don't know why they gave me permission to talk to Derby County, which I didn't think they would do initially because of the problems with Clough and you know, Nottingham Forest in particular. So I spoke to Brian Clough. He whisked me away to a hotel on a Friday evening, and anyhow, my wife got a phone call. To cut a long story short, George, he paraded me on the pitch at Derby County. Said I was a Derby County player, and it was the year they won the league in 1972. So I would have got a league with a championship medal that year, unfortunately. But things didn't work out. I think that the chairman at the time at Nottingham Forest rang my wife on a Sunday night and said that there's no way we're going to let him go to Manchester United. To Derby County, should I say? And Matt Busby came to my house in a place called Bingham, where I live now, a little village outside of Nottingham, and came on the Monday with the manager, and they took me back to Manchester, and I signed the forms there, and played for Manchester United.
Oh, okay. So, in your time at Manchester United, did you win any championships at that time?
Unfortunately, George, I had a bad injury there. I only played 40 games before I got a bad injury, and I had to retire from football. I was only 28, so very unfortunate there. Yeah.
Very sorry to hear that about the injury, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was it. It's the same when I played for England, George. I played for England on the Wednesday. I got my first cap for England, and this was while I was at Nottingham Forest, and then about 2 weeks later we played at Manchester City on a drab, wet Saturday afternoon in Manchester in the middle of January, and unfortunately I was taken out by a rather nasty tackle by a Manchester City player and never played again that season. So unfortunately I only got that one England cap, and I didn't play again that season. So, you know, I think throughout my career, you know, when things have been going well for me, George, unfortunately, I had some bad injuries, and just when I was needed to do without, you know, when I was just sort of progressing into the England team, and you know, trying to win things at Man United, etc., etc. So that was probably the most disappointing part of my career, really, the number of injuries I got actually. There at the time was Tommy Docherty, so I was playing really well at the time and really enjoying myself there. And unfortunately, I sustained the same injury that I sustained at Nottingham Forest about 3 or 4 years earlier. And this time they couldn't repair the injury. And so I had to call it a day, unfortunately. I was only 28 years old.
Okay, so I see that you have you went on to play for Burton Albion and, and Chicago Sting in the United States. Your time in the United States, was that time when Pele was there?
It was, yeah. I think he was just started. I think I played for a team called Chicago Sting, George, and I think Pele was playing for New York Cosmos. I believe that was the name of the team.
Yes, that was the name of it, New York Cosmos.
Yeah, was it? Yeah, I mean, he was, as you know, he was a massive star, Pele. So when he came to play American football, everything stopped to watch that first game he played. Yeah. And,
so did you play against him?
No, we didn't play them New York Cosmos. I think we were in a different section for some reason of the leagues. I mean, I don't know how. America is like an East and West system, so maybe you were in a different conference than he was. Yeah, something like that. Never got to play. I would like to have played against him because, as everybody knows, what a magnificent player he was and a tremendous goal scorer. So it would have been a privilege to have been on the same pitch as him actually. So, but I played in Chicago, and I say Pele played at New York Cosmos, and of course he was a massive star, as everybody knows.
Yeah, well, I had a pretty decent footballing career myself. I represented my country quite a number of times. Too much times to remember, to be honest. Unfortunately, I never got no injuries, so I had a pretty decent career. But I've been encountered like a few English coaches in my time.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, the first one I had was Willie Donachie. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah. Manchester City.
Yes, him.
Yeah,
he was our coach for a good bit.
Oh, was he? Yeah.
Yeah, he was. So, but just to continue the interview. So you moved into management and scouting afterwards, after the injury and so on. And how was the transition into that? I know at 28, that's not where you really want to be as a footballer. No. But how did you cope with that, and how did you make the best of it?
I mean, the problem was in those days, George. I mean, we not like they do now. If you play in the Premiership now for 5, 6, 7 years, you can completely retire when you're 30, 35. But in those days, the wages weren't very good at all. We didn't get any astronomical wages what they get now. So unfortunately, you had to try and find a job. You couldn't live on what you'd saved in those days because the wages weren't big enough.
Right.
Yeah, so consequently, a friend of mine who was the assistant manager at Forest at the time, a great guy called Alan Hill, he got me scouting there. So that began my career as a scout there. Then I became a youth team coach at Nottingham Forest. So that's how I got back into football, really. And I enjoyed that part of it. And ended up scouting, working for Martin O'Neill when he was the manager at Aston Villa. You're friends with him now, Martin O'Neill. No doubt you've heard of him, George. Yeah. How
nowadays this amount, like 38 games, is in the English Premier League? Is that same amount of games you guys played back then?
No, I think there's more competitions now in the English game now, George. A lot more competitions. They have the League Cup. They have various. That if you're in the Premiership now, you get involved in Europe. And like Nottingham Forest now, they're in the Europa League, so you play far more games now than they did when I played. There's so many more competitions now. A lot of the competitions now are meaningless actually, but that's English football. It's just about creating wealth now for football clubs. Unfortunately, it's all about money now, especially the Premiership, George. All about making money.
Yeah, definitely. But some people out there still have the love for the game, though, so that's a good thing.
I'm sure, yeah.
And once we could impart that love for the game onto the kids, the game will continue, and we will all enjoy it and leave on it.
Well, I think kids throughout the world, George, like when I was growing up as a kid, all I wanted to do was play football with my friends. There was a field behind my house, and we used to play there till it was absolutely dark. So, it's something the same now. I see kids playing on the field now. My grandson plays local football now, and so it's still a massive. In England, it's a massive game, and it is throughout worldwide now, isn't it? Football.
Yeah, most definitely. So like the US, playing in the US and playing in the UK at that time, I would want to believe playing in the UK would have been more competitive, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I was I was sort of to the end of my career when I played in America. But, it was a lot more competitive in England. You know, the pitches were awful, George, when I played. The surfaces were terrible. As I said to you, the money wasn't particularly good. And now it's far better now. I mean, if you're a Premier League player now, you're absolutely wonderful occupation to be in now because of everything. You're very well looked after now, money-wise. You're taken everywhere. They provide you with all your food at the training ground now. You don't have to buy your own food, and everything's so much better now.
All right. Well, it's been really good talking to you. For just to wrap up, on your time at Forest, then United, scouting, back to Forest again. Just what moments, and lessons have you learned from that time in football, from your time in football?
What lessons have I learned?
Yeah, and the moments that, you could remember and you would cherish forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think throughout your football career, you always have highs and you have lows, George, don't you? So I think, I had quite a number of good highs, I was a top goal scorer for Nottingham Forest, at the highest level. So that was a high for me. Still, I think I'm still a top goal scorer at the highest level now for Nottingham Forest. That's never been broken. So that's an achievement. Things like playing for England was a massive achievement. Something as a kid growing up, you always wanted to do that, George, play for your country. Right. And, just meeting people, really getting involved. I mean, even now, George, even at my age, I get invited to so many things that people, can you come to this function, that function? And people send me autographs through the post still. So, I think throughout football it's given me the opportunity to meet so many nice people, I think.
Okay. Just one quick question. Were you there in 1966 when England won the World Cup?
Yeah, I was in the Forest team. Yeah, I remember watching it. I got to know the captain of the England team very well, Bobby Moore. I was quite friendly with him because I did a coaching course for him, and he was an absolutely lovely man. A credit to English football, he was. Really lovely gentleman, he was.
All right. Well, Ian, it was a pleasure speaking to you, and I wish you all the best. Stay healthy, stay away from the cold.
Yeah.
It's always been a pleasure, and I hope that we could meet in person sometime, or even maybe have a next chat.
I met Ricky now at Burton Albion. I hope to see him again before Christmas, maybe. So maybe you might come with him sometime, George.
You met Ricky?
Yeah, I met Ricky at Burton Albion. Yeah.
But anyway, Ricky, Ian, it's a pleasure. And you take care.
Okay, nice speaking to you, George. Bye-bye.
All right. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. And with me on set is
Desmond Zico Blow.
And Desmond Zico Blow is also my co-host in the Antigua and Barbuda Premier League, sponsored by Calvin Ayre Foundation. So Zico, the league has started some 3 weeks now, is it?
Yes, I think we're coming up on the 4th week.
Yeah, definitely. And during that 3-week period, what do you think about the league so far? I'm just talking in terms of the organization of it.
Well, the organization is spot on. I think the young ladies are truly in a good position in terms of being able to benefit from having an organization like the Calvin Ayre Foundation on board in terms of women's sponsorship. I know, and we know traditionally, the women's game suffers from, for want of a better expression, lack of matches.
Yeah.
And so to have an entire Premier Division that's completely sponsored, uniforms, referees being paid for, venue sorted out, everything in place, so all these young ladies have to do is show up and play. I think it's an amazing initiative, and I think the young ladies stand to benefit tremendously from it.
Yeah, most definitely. And also I see each team has it seems like it's a designer kit, you know what I'm saying, and all the kits are branded Calvin Ayre. So I think, what do you think about that particular sponsorship in itself?
The level of sponsorship from the Calvin Ayre Foundation, what is it?
4 years, I think.
4, well, including this year, 4 after this.
Yeah, 4 after this.
Where everything is going to be provided. I think it's amazing. As far as the uniform designs, it'd be interesting to find out who actually came up with the concepts, because again, it's eye-catching, it pops. I think from listening to viewers just walking up to us, it's something that they can gravitate to. It's something that they enjoy coming out and see on the weekend.
Yeah, I was told by a kid in Green. Oh, I saw you on YouTube commentating for women football. So when he said that, I was taking my mother home from church. So she said, "But you remember?" Yeah, she asked me if I remember the days when I used to come home. My grandmother used to tell me she used to hear us when I was playing, and it was on ABS. It was
ABS.
Back in the day. So it's always gratifying to see that now football is being aired again. And people could don't really have to go out to the venue and watch the football. They could actually stay home, or if you're busy and can't make it to the venue. But in terms of the spectatorship so far, Zico, what do you think about it so far?
I think for the most part, the first couple of weeks, as expected, there would be some growing pains. But I think now that there has been some consistency, I fully expect to see the turnout be a little bit better. Obviously, and hopefully, the introduction or the restart of the Premier Division for the men could have a trickle up effect, because the ladies are going to be playing earlier. Hopefully that has a trickle up effect and we see an increase in attendance. But I think over the last couple of weeks, specifically last week, the quality of the matches have improved. I think the competitiveness has improved, and I think once that word goes out, hopefully we can have some more persons actually come out and support the ladies.
Well, you went right into my next question just now, Zico. So that is all good that we go in tick for tack. So in terms of the team setup, like we've been watching the games in them. So I just want your take on it. I know what my take is in terms of like, are these, it's good to have a league, but you also want to see teams playing to a pattern. Like a formation is 4-4-2, 3-5-2, 4-5-1, whatever it is. From that point of view, when we watch these teams, do you see that tactical setup and these girls trying to execute? Because we see the formation, so we kind of have an idea of how they want to attack. Because based on the formation, you can tell how somebody's going to play. So from that aspect, how do you see it going?
I think there has been an improvement.
And if there's any team that you could identify that has been, we have seen most teams 3 games or 2.
Yeah.
So you could
So we've seen all of them.
right. So who you could say, well, you're seeing a particular pattern in throughout 2 games, or somebody played it one. You know what I'm saying?
I think the feature game last week was it. I think it was
Cutting Edge
and Trendsetters. If I, so far for the competition, needed a game to market the women's game, that would be it. I think for the most part.
Just give me a minute. So you would use that game as in like a showcase game.
Definitely.
So probably put a rerun on it or get
Yes.
it on a local station,
And
something like that.
Yes, and the reason I say that is because both teams, their game plans were clear. You could see it. You could not only.
Those teams was coached by whom?
So we had Vincent Samuel, no stranger to the coaching world, and then we had Karen Warner started the game.
Or was it Nikisha Samuel?
Karen started the game, and then Nikisha came later. But that team, Trendsetters, is usually coached by Nikisha Samuel. But what we saw from our vantage point in that game, we saw a clear style of play. We saw and we could identify what each coach wanted from the players. We also saw the players sticking to the game plan. And so, like I said, if I were to use a game, if I were to choose a game so far for the season as something that we could use to market the women's game or market the women's Premier Division, that would be the ideal game for me so far. Obviously, from a spectator point of view, from even a hosting point of view, we want to see more matches like that. But I think those 2 teams showed clearly what can happen if the teams are properly coached and the coaches have a plan. I mean, I must also mention Wadadley. Is it Wadadley United?
Yes, Wadadley United.
Yes, they're another team to watch, and they're another team that is well coached, and they've been put through their paces, and they have quality players. But all in all, we have seen improvement from all 5 teams from week 1 to week 3, and I'm really looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah. So, well, I think the ladies' game, as you say, and from the marketing standpoint, I believe what you're saying makes sense because that was a really good. As a matter of fact, that was the first jog game. That was the first, and just to show the level of competitiveness. You know, some people say, "Oh, jog game was whatever," but because both teams had a plan and both teams were well coached and players stuck to their assignments, you know, to the best of their ability, I think it probably should have went trendsetters way because I think Squashy got 2 breaking chances. And as I say, you know, from the Calvin part of it, right, where the game is being shown live, and I hear that ABS now will be carrying the games. So if ABS, I don't know if ABS is going to carry it live, but I want to believe that might be. But if they don't, then it could be a midweek. You know, well, or if they carry it live, then there is 2 platforms we have to watch it.
Yeah, and
definitely.
And that gives the young ladies tremendous leverage in terms of getting themselves seen and getting themselves out there. And ultimately, we have enough young ladies in the league who are at that age where college is not out of the question. Semi-professional opportunities is not out of the question. So every additional platform that the young ladies get to showcase their talent, I'm 100% for it.
Yeah, but and also, you know what I love about the league, to be honest, and I could break it down. So, and of our viewers, there's 5 teams in the league. Trendsetters FC, Wadad United FC, Cutting Edge Football Academy, Lady Masters, and Fort Road FC. That is the 5.
Yes, those are the 5.
So when you watch Cutting Edge, you see experience, you see youth, and you see players that are being coached, technically good players. And likewise with Trendsetters. And Wadad United has that group too. Some young players, some experienced players. With Fort Road is more about an experienced bunch of players, and then there's some young vibrant.
I think Fort Road is in a situation where they're actually rebuilding. Because if we look at, I want to say 3 years ago, when they actually had the women, a prior edition of the Women's League, Fort Road pretty much had, I would say, a good team, competitive. Obviously, they would have lost some players. Some players have gotten older. But I think Fort Road is unique in the sense that they are in the phase of rebuilding. The good thing about it is that they actually can make or put plans in place to really rebuild. And the reason they can do that, along with all the other teams, is that we have another 4 years already signed off on in terms of sponsorship. And so these teams have something that they could actually look forward to in terms of planning, in terms of training, in terms of recruiting. And so, you know, I'm really excited, and we'll just see where it goes.
Well, yeah. So we have this weekend coming up, and I think this weekend should be a really exciting weekend. To be honest, because I think Chance has already gotten thereby. Cutting has already gotten thereby, and what Dudley has gotten thereby. So there'll be some interesting games this weekend.
Good matchups.
Some really good matchups this weekend, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. In terms of the older players to the younger players, would you say there are more younger players in this league than not older, experience? Let me use that terminology, experience. Is there more, from what we've been watching and seeing so far, is there more younger players than experienced players?
I think without us having the actual data at hand, just the eye test, I think it's a good balance. I think there's a good mix within most of the teams of youth and experience. What I do like to see is we have a lot of young national team players in the league with their teams, players who would have recently come back from the CFU U15 Challenge Series, and we have seen them being integrated into the women's game, and I think that's important for their development. We also have players who would have played in prior editions of that same CFU women's, CFU girls Challenge Series, and also the CONCACAF U15. So I think this is an important bridge, because traditionally those tournaments, the CFU tournament and the CONCACAF tournament, traditionally that's the only time these girls would play. So to be integrated into to have a women's Premier League and to be integrated into their teams. I think that speaks well for their development, and it'll be interesting to see what these young ladies look like 5 years down the road.
Yeah, most definitely. And also too, I would like to say that, you know, the ABFA did well by taking advantage of this sponsorship opportunity. And you know, so Zico, based on the games that we have seen so far, I think we have seen what, 6 games? It's 3 weeks, 6 games, isn't it? 6 games. If you have to single out 3 strikers in the league, not in a particular order, who do you say is the 3 most dangerous players thus far?
I would say Gabriel Souza, obviously Nafisa, Squashy. The third one, I want to say Bella, Jakayla Bella.
Jakayla Bella.
If
is Bella a striker or defender, Zico? Because Bella has been deployed in so many positions.
What does the stat say in terms
the stat says that
in
Bella
terms
has
of a goal scorer?
Yeah, she has 2 goals in 3 games.
Okay,
so.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think she would have scored 2 more, or probably gotten a hat trick in school league this week. I don't think she's doing that.
Not
playing
bad.
as a centre back.
Okay.
So
that's,
for me,
that's
if I were to highlight 3 young players who I really think has the potential to transform and transcend the women's game. Obviously, Gabby's a talent.
Right.
Nafisa's a talent as well. And you know, Jakayla is making a case for herself in terms of becoming a household name as well.
Okay, right. So in terms of wingers, I'm talking crosses of the ball, taking on people 1v1s. You know, give me a 3.
I don't know if I can give 3.
I could probably give.
I like Rolisha Humphreys from Fort Road.
From Fort Road, yeah, she's one of mine.
I like
number 14 from Wadad United. I think her last name is Samuel. I can't remember her first name.
I know, yes. Her first name eludes me, and Irisha Allen. Okay. I think she's an athlete.
Definitely.
She's an athlete. But you know, there are other youngsters who are doing well. Young Hughes that plays for Trendsetters as well.
Jordan Enriquez that plays for Cotton. She's not doing too bad.
So, like I said, we have quite a few young, talented ladies who have already made their mark on the national scene, being with the national teams, and they are finding a foothold and also making a mark on the local scene at the senior level, and that speaks well for them.
Well, you know, people more tend to think about the attacking prowess of football, meaning the wingers and the forwards. So I won't go into the central midfielders because there's some good ones, and there's some pretty decent defenders in the league also. So Zico, I'd just like to thank you for coming on the show with us this evening, and you know, just hearing of you. I think the league is going well. I think there's a lot to look forward to from it. I'm very impressed with it so far in terms of the play and the commitment of the young ladies coming out every week. So Zico, once again, it's always nice talking to you. Hope you enjoy the rest of the evening, and we'll be right back to the GN Sports Show.
GN Sports Show.
We would like to thank the sponsors of Generation Next: Fruta, Antigua Masonry Products, Citizenship by Investment Unit, ACT, Flow, Island Photo, and Francis Trading Agency.
GN Sports Show.
Welcome back to the GN Sports Show, and today we have a special guest, Dr. Rick from AUA, who's here to talk to us about something every parent and young athlete wants to know, and that is, how can we help our kids build muscle safely and become more resilient in sports? Dr. Rick, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. It's good to be here, and I'm not really such a special guest. Don't call me so special because I come all the time. So how special can I really be?
Extra special.
Oh,
extra
okay.
special.
Wow. Well, that makes me feel good. Okay, good. Yeah. Well, AUA, where I work, American University of Antigua College of Medicine, they'll be happy to hear that. that you consider me special.
No, that we consider you to
Remember
be
that.
extra special.
Extra special,
Extra
okay.
special.
Did you
Gotta
hear
make
that,
sure we get
AUA? Good.
We got to make sure we get it right. So we're going to talk about young athletes
Yes.
trying to stay away from sports injuries.
Yes.
So let's just jump right in, and we're going to start with a very basic question.
Okay.
In your opinion, why is building muscle in children who actually are athletes, why is that important? Is it just about strength, or is there something else that we're looking at?
Well, first it is about strength. Kids who don't have enough muscle mass actually are more susceptible to injuries, right? Sports-related injuries. And so we're trying to prevent the injuries. So making them stronger, giving them more muscle, even at a young age, before their muscles are fully developed, is going to give them more flexibility, more ability to be resilient to, let's say, traumas that they encounter on the soccer field. I know you call it football, I call it soccer, okay. Or basketball court, or wherever they may be. But in addition, there is a lot more to building muscle that helps the kids. So for example, we ignore the bones, but the muscles create growth factors for the bones, and the bones create growth factors for the muscles. So bones are attached to muscles by tendons. So where these tendons are moving, there's pull on the bones. We call them elastic forces. And these elastic forces stimulate growth of the bone, growth hormones that are made right in the bone. Well, they don't just stay in the bone. They now diffuse to the muscles, and they help the muscles grow. So kids with strong muscles get strong bones. Kids with strong bones get strong muscles. It goes back and forth like that. So that's very important, isn't it?
Okay. So and we are going to just touch on like the roles of nutrition, sleep, and health. And what about the other factors? Parents hear a lot about nutrition and sleep. How do those come into play?
Well, I think we talked about that in our last session, but here it's important too, that sleep, getting enough sleep, which is for kids, certainly at least 7 to 9 hours. And when kids go through a growth spurt, they need more sleep. I remember my parents used to say, "Oh, you lazy bum," when I was a teenager, "you're sleeping too much." Well, they didn't understand. They didn't understand the biology and physiology. And in those days, listen, I'm so old that this was maybe before this information was discovered, that the more kids sleep, the more growth hormone is made by their pituitary gland in their brain. That's where we get the growth hormone that helps build muscles, and all of our tissues grow under those conditions. So deep sleep. So if a kid, let's say, is sleeping just, lightly, and he wakes up a lot of times during the night, he's not getting that good, healthy, deep sleep that we call rejuvenating sleep, the sleep that repairs the body and stimulates that growth hormone. So having good sleep hygiene, having a regular schedule, having a proper number of hours, making sure that the kid isn't getting up many times during the night and sleeping lightly. There may be something wrong where he's sleeping, but what we call his sleep architecture, like you build a building, well, you build a sleep architecture during the night, is off. And if that's off, he may not be making enough growth hormone. What does growth hormone do? Growth hormone forces the muscles to take up the amino acids, the building blocks for protein, from the blood. So a person could be eating plenty of protein, right? Mm-hmm. And it's digested to amino acids in the blood. But those amino acids have to be taken up by the muscle and turned into protein. Otherwise, there's no point in, it just doesn't work. The system isn't working. There's no point in eating the protein for building muscle unless it's taken up. Well, growth hormone is what stimulates that uptake of the amino acids. Just like you heard about, the hormone known as insulin, stimulating uptake of glucose, of sugar,
Right.
into the muscles so they can make enough energy to energize the muscle during activity. Well, growth hormone does that for the protein and builds up the protein in the muscle. So sleep and having the right amount of protein in your diet. So for example, vegetarians and meat eaters, they both can get enough protein. But the vegetarians have to be a little more careful about what they eat because there are some vegetarian foods that are a little bit deficient in protein. But if you have a well-rounded diet of quinoa and lentils and all those beans, those different kinds of beans, you usually will get enough protein, especially if you eat eggs. Now, I know some vegans don't eat eggs, but, you know, they have to be more careful then. But eggs and tofu, that's another source of some protein. So, again, taking care of you know, having a good variety. The vegan or the vegetable eaters can get enough protein. But of course, meat eaters, we know we get enough protein because that's what meat is all about, right? Protein and so for kids, it really doesn't make a difference as long as they're taking in enough calories. Now, that's another issue about nutrition. How many calories should a kid take in? Well, generally, it's almost the same as for an adult. We say about 2,000 calories a day.
A day?
Yeah, for an active child, 2,000 calories a day. And how much of it should come from protein? About 20%. 20%. How much of it should come from healthy carbohydrates? You know,
Right.
we talked last time about healthy carbohydrates. Those are the complex carbohydrates, not the sugary cereals and not the sugary drinks. These are the complex carbohydrates that you get in vegetables, for example. Those carbohydrates should be 60%. And the other 20%, so we have 60% carbs, 20% protein, and the other 20% should be healthy fats.
Healthy fat.
Healthy fats.
I never heard it. How can fat be healthy?
Okay, well, you know, there's a disconnect here that people generally think, well, when I eat a lot of fat, it's going to make me fat, right? Well, not really. What makes you fat is more of the carbs than the fat. Why? Because carbohydrates in your diet cause, when kids take in especially those sugary foods, you know, cakes and candies and sodas that are full of glucose and fructose, those sugars stimulate insulin. And insulin is the only hormone in our body that makes us fat. You know, so it's carbohydrates that are really making us fat. Now, when you take in any extra calories, they can be stored away as fat. So fat can be stored away as fat. Glucose can be turned into fat by our metabolism. And even extra protein and amino acids can also be turned into fat, extra calories. So you got to make sure they're not taking in too many calories, like, you know, they shouldn't take in 3,000, 4,000 calories a day. But an active child, you know, can get anywhere from 1,800 to 2,200 per day, very much like their parents should be eating.
Okay.
But their parents should be active too. They should be good role models. Right? Be good role models.
While we're speaking about parents, I know we're going to switch gears just a little bit. Traditionally, there's usually a disconnect between academics and sports.
Oh, yeah.
And traditionally, a lot of our parents take the sports away, especially when we look at them preparing for exams. So my question is there a correlation of any kind, whether positive or negative? Is there a correlation, is there a connection between exercise and strength training and potential academic development, or just general intellectual development?
Well, absolutely. You know, when you use your body more, it stimulates your brain. Now, on the simplest level, every time you have more blood flow to your muscles, you create more blood flow to your brain. Every time you start exercising, you create more blood flow to your brain. That blood flow to your brain stimulates a hormone called BDNF. It's called brain neurotrophic factor. It causes your brain cells to grow and to make more connections. And the connections is what allows children and adults, all of us, to think quickly, to make connections with information that's new to us and say, okay, I see how what I just heard connects with something I already know. That's learning. And that child becomes now a self-regulated learner when he can do that. So having regular exercise certainly makes those neurons, those nerve cells grow and make better connections. Also, skilled sports like coordinating your muscles. There's a part of your brain called the cerebellum. And we used to think the cerebellum is the site of our muscle memory only. In other words, you heard of muscle memory, where you learn something when you're young, like riding a bike, and you get on the bike when you're 50 years later and you can still ride the bike, right? So that muscle memory is stored in our cerebellum. That cerebellum is the seat of muscle memory. But now we're learning that it's also the seat of complex problem solving. That the same kind of coordination you have to do in your muscles, the cerebellum allows you to coordinate your thinking patterns in your brain better. So yes, so there's quite a bit of evidence that people who engage in sports, kids who engage in sports, generally, of course there's always exceptions to this rule, do better academically, right? Their academics improve. So if you're taking away sports so the child can study more, well, for a short time there's no harm in that. But yeah, I don't think you want to send the child that message, right? You want to send the child the message that they have to learn how to manage both, right? You have to balance everything. Balance everything. And the most important thing is that they learn how to be a self-regulated learner.
Okay, well, I need to get your number down.
Yes.
Because some of these parents, just as so you could just say, that's the first thing. A child come home with a C, and there's no football.
Yes.
And I'm talking full time until the term ends. So it might be the first test of the term.
And these must be your best players.
More than likely. But that was just a bit information for me too, because I didn't even. I know, like, for me, seeing is learning. I could see you do something. They don't want to show me how to do it. But if I see you do it, I believe I could do it. And anything I believe my eyes my market. If I see it, I go in at it.
Well, let me tell you about that. Actually, your brain has special nerve cells called mirror neurons. Mirror nerve cells. So when you look at somebody doing something and you pay attention to what they're doing, I mean, if you're focused on it, if you're not focused on it, it's not going to work. But if you focus on, let's say, their form and what they're doing, like hitting a tennis ball, and you say, oh, I want to learn how to do that, and I'm going to see how that guy does it because he's a professional, and I'm going to try to imitate it. Well, those mirror neurons get to work, and they actually do their job. There's a story I have about that during the Vietnam War, there was this soldier who was a prisoner of war in the Vietnam. He was an American soldier, and he was in the the concentration camp. He was an enemy combatant who was captured. Yeah, and he was in jail for several years, like 6 years. And to keep himself sane, because he was isolation. By himself. He was isolation. To keep himself sane, he would play golf in his mind every day. He would play golf. Now, he was never a great golfer. And he liked golf, but he really never was much of a golfer. But then when he got freed 6 years later, he went to a golf course and he played the best golf he ever did.
That one day?
Well, I don't know what happened after that. But he believes, as he tells the story, that playing golf on this same golf course, he knew this golf course, so he's played on this golf course every day, and he remembered the holes, and his game actually improved. Those were his mirror neurons working. He was imagining it. So rather than seeing it, you can even imagine it. It's called imaging. By the way, you should teach do you ever teach your athletes?
We just use that terminology. We just tell them to vision it.
Yeah, vision it, imaging it. Yeah, visualizing it. It works.
Okay, all right. So
here's just quick before I forget. A lot of parents are curious, and this is one of the questions that we get asked time to time. At what age does strength training, or what age is that appropriate? And then just to piggyback off of that, frequency and recovery, how often would you recommend strength training be done? So initially, at what age would we want to start? And how often do we want to do strength training in terms of days that they're working as opposed to days that they're resting?
Well, you don't want to do it for a 5 or 6 year old usually. 7 or 8 years old is a good time to start.
7 or 8.
7 or 8 years old.
Light weights though.
Well, yes, for sure if they're going to use weights, light weights, but they don't need weights. They can use their own body weight, push-ups, pull-ups, all of that stuff.
Do plyometrics?
Yes, plyometrics. So when you guys, for example, are coaching the kids, right? And you're having a regular practice, you ought to be doing strength training with them. You don't need to have special sessions. It could be part of the warm-up, right? The strength training, you incorporate that into it. And they use their own body weight. You don't need any weights for that.
Right.
But you get special exercises, like I said, just even push-ups will help. And they get in the idea, you know, and you tell them why you're doing it. They get in their head about that they're building muscle and it's going to make them more resilient. That's right. And they're going to be better athletes, and you make it fun. So aside from that, 3 times a week, the parents can do it with the kid. In other words, you can do it, 3 times a week. You're not going to warm your athletes up for 30 or 45 minutes. That's too long. But a parent at home can do it with their child for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 3 times a week.
Okay.
When they're not having sports, when they don't have any
Right.
training, they could do it. And you could incorporate it into your warm-ups to get them ready for the sports. Now, when they get to be teenagers, that's when you can start giving them heavier weights, right? They can start lifting heavy weights. Now, again, you just don't do it haphazardly. They have to pay attention to their form, right? To make sure they're building the right muscle groups and they're not straining their tendons or tearing their tendons by overdoing it with weight that's too much. Now, a real strength trainer will know exactly how much weight to use. I'm going to give you a rough estimate. If a child can lift, or anybody, this is not just children, this is adults too, can do 1 repetition of exercise with a weight. 1 repetition is something like this, right? You give them a heavy weight just to do 1. You say, can you do 1? And you can do 2. If they can't do 2, they can only do 1. That's telling you that's their maximum, and you don't want them to use that because when you use a heavy weight like that, you're not using the maximum power. Use the maximum power at about half of that weight. So let's say that weight is 10 pounds, right? And they can only do 1 at 10 pounds. Well, it's called the 1 RM load. It's called the 1 repetition maximum load, right? So now you go down to about half of that. If that load was 10 pounds, you go down to 5. And now they should be able to do 10 repetitions with 5. You see? That's a rough. So there's a way, very simply, you don't really have to be a professional.
I didn't hear that. I didn't know that terminology before.
Yeah. Yeah, so you don't have to be a professional to do these simple things and know how much weight your child should be using. So when they get to be teenagers, they have more growth hormone. Their sex hormone comes in called testosterone. And this is true for boys and girls. Testosterone is the male sex hormone, but it's present in both males and females. Males at a very high level, females in a very low level. But even that low level in females builds their muscles. So it's not the female sex hormone known as estrogen that's building their muscles. It's actually the male sex hormone in the female that's building the muscle. But it's at a lower level, which is why females are generally not as strong as males if you look at them equally, at equal ages or equal sizes. You see?
All right.
So, again, when they get to be the mid-teen years, now you can start giving them heavy weights and do what I said. You can have them work at their maximum power, which is about half the load that they can do one time. Remember, the 1 RM load, one repetition maximum load. About half of that, they should be able to do 10, right? And then they work out that. Now, when they get stronger, what happens? Now their 1 RM load, the 1 repetition maximum load, increases. And then you can increase the weight, you see?
All right.
See how that works?
Definitely. So, Doc,
I just made you a physical therapist.
imagine that. So,
I'll give you a certificate.
I've been 130 pounds my whole life.
No
Max.
kidding.
130 max. I'm talking at my fitness.
Soaking wet? Soaking wet or
Maybe
dry?
A soaking wet hoodie. in a soaking wet hoodie, Doc. Right?
I got it.
So, in terms of diet, is diet for the slim people or for fat people only, or it doesn't matter? Anyone could be on a diet.
Yes. I don't even like the term diet. I like the term good nutrition, good balanced meals, right? Taking in the right number of calories, 20% protein, 20% healthy fats, 60% healthy carbohydrates. That's for everybody.
That's everybody.
Right? And how do you know whether...
Just a minute, that before we go on.
Yes.
So, 20, 60, 20. That's how you break it down just now,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, good. So, let me say a person is, let me say 20 years old and weighing 250 pounds.
Yes.
That, it still goes like that? The 20, 60, 20?
No, because no. I'm talking about
Okay,
I'm talking about for the active average person. When a person is obese, right?
Right.
Or has a lot of extra weight, or has a high, what we call body mass index, which is based on how much weight you have compared to your height, right? Now you have to adjust it for their metabolism.
Oh.
You see, for their metabolism. Here's the rule. I'm going to tell you the rule. However many
You're going to
calories,
educate me now.
however many calories you take in, right? If you're not gaining weight and you're not losing weight, that's your target if you're happy with that weight. So you're at whatever you're eating at 130 pounds. If you say you're 130 pounds, right? Whatever you're eating is doing it. Now, if you increase your calories,
I got a belly in COVID.
You should be gaining weight.
I got a small belly in COVID, you know, Doc. But I don't think that was from eating.
No, what is that from? I know you weren't pregnant.
I was sleeping, Doc. I feel again that way from sleeping. I just thought again that way from sleeping.
Well, okay, we're going to talk about belly now. Let me tell you about belly. The biggest contributor to belly fat is stress.
Huh?
Yes, there's the stress hormone made in our adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are glands right above the kidney. And those adrenal glands make cortisol. You heard of hydrocortisone?
Yes.
What do we use hydrocortisone for?
I have no idea.
For, when we have something on our skin. When you have a bug bite.
Okay.
Or an allergy, itching.
Okay.
So that itching can be taken away by hydrocortisone because it's a derivative, it's a form of the cortisol stress hormone we have in our body. Now, why do we have an anti-inflammatory? That's anti-inflammatory. It fights inflammation. Why do we have an anti-inflammatory hormone made in our adrenal glands? Because every day when we wake up, there's a spurt of this cortisol stress hormone to get us ready for the day, to keep our inflammation down. We get exposed to all kinds of bacteria and viruses all day. And if we had inflammation, we would feel terrible all day. We wouldn't be able to work. So this is to keep the inflammation down. Now, when we go to sleep at night, the level of this cortisol that I'm talking about goes down, and our inflammation goes up when we're sleeping to kill off all those bacteria that we accumulated during the day. So, one of the effects of this stress hormone is that when it's constantly high, it redistributes the fat in your body to your belly. Now, why do you think that happens? Well, we don't know for sure, but popular wisdom and science seems to point toward when we're under chronic stress, we want to provide more energy for our internal organs, especially our heart. So the more fat we put in the belly, the more that fat, when it gets released from the fat cells for energy, gets to the heart. You see? So it's like preparing the body for a chronic long-term stress that you're under. And so belly fat comes from stress. Now, it can come from other causes too, like eating too much food. But when a person, let's say, doesn't get fat all over their body and they only get that belly fat, look at their stress. It's often the stress. How do you like that? So maybe during COVID, you were stressed out.
George, you were
by the
stressed
fact
out during COVID.
By the fact that you didn't see your friends so often, you weren't coaching the kids, you weren't working, you know.
Doc, I could be honest with you.
You didn't see Ricky Santos.
Let me be honest with you for a minute here, Doc. See, I got a lot of my friends are stressed then, because I have a lot of friends with bellies, you know. So I got a lot of my friends.
Well, some of that is.
But anyway,
some of that is beer.
Back to the topic at hand, Doc.
Actually, George, quick. We've talked about everything, including George's belly fat. So, what's the connection between physical exercise and emotions? Focus, the mental aspect of things. So we've spoken about muscles, we've spoken about fat. What's the connection between the physical exercise, strength training, and our emotional resilience?
Okay, well, one thing is when you're lifting weights and you're using strength training, you're focusing on something very specific, like your form, to make sure you don't get injured, right? And so that trains the brain to focus. A lot of times in sports, a person, especially a kid, is running around from here to here to here to here, is really unfocused, right? He's just trying to keep up. But when you stop and you start lifting those weights, now you have some purpose. And that purpose translates to learning how to focus. Now, emotionally, there's nothing specific about weights compared to activity in general that's going to help you emotionally, right? However, if you're stronger, don't you have more confidence?
Yes.
I know I feel more confidence when I'm stronger, right? If you got rid of some of that belly fat, you'd be more confident.
I got rid of the belly fat.
Oh, okay, good.
But
that's why you're so confident and you're here now.
I'm not bursting the shirt sleeves though, you know.
Yeah, well, I know.
A little muscle dark.
I know how that works. Well, you got to spend more time in the gym, that's all. Right?
In the gym?
In the gym with more weights.
Yeah.
That's what it takes to get, it's called resistance training. Yeah.
I have some resistance band at home. I work with those. I'm not going to the gym now.
You're not going to the gym? Okay. Well,
Doc,
meet me there someday and we'll work it out together.
Fantastic insight, Doc. Absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure the parents who are listening are taking this.
I hope so.
Most definitely. The good nutrition, sleep, safety, strength training, and all this kind of thing. So, just any closing remarks, Doc, that you could, give to top off such a wonderful interview, Doc, because I came here lacking knowledge. I'm leaving full of knowledge, Doc.
Well,
I'm leaving full of knowledge.
Well, I wish my students would feel the same way.
I sure they do that. They're just probably not saying it.
Yeah, well, when I see their exam scores, I'm not I'm not confident of that all the time. But some of them do, and some of them.
So
Yeah.
do you assess them by the exam score, or you assess yourself by the exam score? Because I assess myself by the way in which my players play.
Yes, and that's a good point. So when you're a teacher, when the students don't learn, right? Whose fault is it?
That's a $1 million question right there.
I used to think when the students don't learn, fire the teacher. It's the teacher's fault. Well,
You're a teacher.
I'm learning now as I teach more and more and more that there is some truth to that, but it's a team effort. You know, there's two sides of the coin.
Right.
The student has to put out the effort too,
Right.
and the student has to be prepared, but the teacher is supposed to meet the student where they are. It's not always easy, but we have to know our students. You have to know your athletes, right? You have to know where they are, what they're capable of doing. And so you can have very high expectations of them, but they have to be realistic,
Right.
right? So in general, speaking of realistic expectations, we should have realistic expectations of our kids in sports. We shouldn't overtrain them.
Right.
We should make sure they get enough good nutrition, good sleep, good training from coaches like you, but you should incorporate some strength training into your warm-ups, and parents can do the same thing with their kids at home and become good role models for them and work with them. So yes, it's all about resilience, making kids resilient athletes, youth athletes. They will end up being resilient adults. And there's plenty of studies that actually show that the child who's active in his preteens and in his teens will be happier, healthier, and more successful when he's in his 30s. So you're laying the groundwork for the next generation. And those are the ones that are going to be running this government and our economies, right? And so we're preparing kids through sports for intellectual challenges and life in general.
All right, now.
I want to thank you so much, Dr. Rick, for joining us. Another insightful and impactful interview.
Glad to be back.
And I want to say a special thank you to my good friend George Dublin for allowing me to be back on the set, on the new and improved set of the GN Sports Show after a very long hiatus. And I also want to thank you guys for joining us on the GN Sports Show. And hopefully we'll have you back again next time.
Interviews, insights, dreams taking flight. We show them how to handle the spotlight, preparing them for the journey ahead, building confidence, the words left unsaid. From the grassroots to the national scene, young athletes chasing every dream. In every game there's a story to tell. GN Sports Show, we know them well. GN Sports, where the youth lead the way. Champions of tomorrow making waves today. From ages 5 and up we help them grow. It's their time to shine on the GN Sports Show. GN Sports Show, interviews where the youth lead the way. Champions of tomorrow making waves today. From ages 5 and up we help them grow. It's their time to shine on the GN Sports Show. GN Sports, where the youth lead the way.